Hey, real quick here, this video might sound a bit familiar to you, and that's because I previously made a tier list of both all weapons and all enemies back in 2021 when I finished all of Act 1, including Minos Prime for the first time. But after the release of Act 2, I decided to redo these since a long time had passed, a bunch of new content had come into the game, and I honestly just had a way better understanding of everything in the game after pouring tens, if not almost 100 more hours into the game since then. So I decided to remake them. Although this time I'm doing all weapons and variants again, but instead of all enemies, I'm just doing all bosses. But I'm actually ranking all bosses this time, so you can stop asking me where Cancerous Rodent is or whatever. On top of that, I did a level tier list, but it just went on a little too long to keep in this video. But if you're interested in that, I posted it on my second channel, so check that out. And while you're at it, consider subscribing there as well. Anyways, let's just get right into it. Okay, let's do this. So before, I think I just had 4 tiers, and they were labeled kind of stupidly, so I'm not gonna needlessly explain the tiers here. But I did add a tier that is just, I don't use it. Because there are 2 weapons that I just don't use. And that is the default piercer pistol and the alternate coin revolver. The default piercer, the slab is just better in every way, and kind of the same with the slab piercer. I mean, it's just, you can throw coins way faster than you can shoot. Like it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't have tech like split shots. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't use either of these ever, pretty much. This one's fun. It's satisfying to use, but it's not good. So I guess I can go with the other controversial. I'm gonna take the green rocket and put it in C tier because it does have uses. I think it's good for new players. I think it's fair to say that using the green rail helps you learn how to play the game, because when the enemy's just spewing out blood, like, you feel a lot more comfortable getting up close to them and actually dealing damage to them, and not worrying about just like getting comboed to death. It's how I beat Gabriel. I think it's how a lot of people beat Gabriel the first time. And it's still good against bosses. I used it the other night against the Insurrectionist duo because I didn't have the Saws equipped. No, I'm not making an F tier for it because it's not F tier. It has uses. I use it as well for mind flayers, and someone in the comments on my video was roasting me for using it twice. I used it twice in the video to kill mind flayers. But so if you don't know, the green rail stops mind flayers from teleporting, which means you can just fucking wail on them. You can shotgun swap them. You can just DPS check them with nail guns. Like, it's actually insane against mind flayers. Not much else, but it is insane against mind flayers. It has uses. And if I haven't convinced you, then I never will, I guess. It's not useless. It is bad, but it's not useless. Let's see, coin revolver, I think is S tier. It's amazing. You can take those coins, you could shoot just like goddamn almost anything at it. You can punch them. Even just shooting them with the pistol is a good strategy. Especially the default, which gets split shots. It's surprisingly good for dealing with multiples of enemies. Yeah, it's really good. I mean, there's so much you can do with the fucking coins. I'll go A tier with the slab piercer. I think it's really good. I like how much damage it does, even though it fires slowly. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll just fire off one shot and then switch. It one-shots stalkers. It one-shots a lot of enemies. It one-shots drones too, and they don't even fly at you. They just explode. And then you can also charge up the piercer attack, which is amazing and does huge damage with this alternate variant, especially if you shoot it at coins. It's busted, honestly. It's actually so good. On its own though, gun, still really good. Just tiny bit worse than this one. For shotguns, I'm gonna say the green shotgun is S tier. Yeah, it's that good. I mean, it fires faster. Obviously, like, you know, here, I'll just go ahead and put this in A tier. But yeah, with the shotguns, I think the green is the best. I think the overpump is really versatile, especially overcharging it and then dashing out of it. Can really deal with groups of enemies and deal huge amounts of damage. Core eject, I think, is... A lot of people said it in the comments on my last tier list video. I think it's underrated by some. I think I put it in B before. I have seen a lot more potential in it. Nuking and core sniping is very useful. And so for that reason, I think I'm gonna put it in A. That said, I think you're gonna have this one in your first shotgun slot and this one in your second. Nuking is still somewhat niche, and core shooting is like even more niche, but it has fun tech. It's not super useful on its own. The shotguns together are really good, obviously, because of shotgun swapping. They both pro boost. This one a little bit slower than this one, but all good. Still useful. Nail guns. This is interesting because I think last time I went like this, but I think the problem I don't know. I almost want to put them both in B because you kind of need them to work together. What a lot of people I've noticed will do is they'll use this saw and this nail gun because you get the best of both worlds. Like this one, you can set the trap and make them spin around, and then this one you could use the magnets and then just do a ton of DPS with this. Yeah, the magnets are super useful. They have so many different like little interactions with, and now they interact with rockets too, which is insane. But on its own, like I'm really only using the bullets from this one to charge the overheat. Like I'm just gonna fire off a few and then switch to this one and overheat.
Ultrakill community jokes tier list when? Most will be F tier.
Yeah, you answered your own question. That's the problem. I see some people using both alts. To clarify, depending on the situation, like notice none of these are in don't use. Depending on the situation, I will use any combo of these, which I think is what's so cool about these is they're really well balanced together, I think. The alts are really good. Standard ones are really good as well. And they both have uses. I mean, these are great against bosses. The alts are really good against Gabe. Really? Because I find the opposite. I find that like overheating him just melts his health bar. Yeah, so in general, this is better for groups of enemies, even like just 2 enemies or enemies that are standing on the ground. Which weapon are we talking about now? I'm kind of talking about all of these at once, but I could go through them like one by one. I mean, the blue variants are always going to be good because of the magnets. The standard variants are very good against Malicious Face, and these are good for like crowd control or bosses that stay on the ground. So I think I feel good about this ranking. The overheat is probably your best, like just straight up DPS dealer. You put a few magnets in a boss or something, and then you just unload with this. It deletes their health bar. I think the only reason I'm putting this one lower is because it's not that good for like just DPS dealing. And then if you run out of ammo in it, the cooldown is debilitating. Like you actually just can't switch back to it. The overheat saw is interesting because it's really fun and it does a ton of damage. But I feel like out of all of them, it's the most situational. It can be amazing against certain enemies. Like if they don't move a lot and you know right where they're going to be, this will absolutely melt them. I think this is the only one that I feel like is really self-sufficient though. Because otherwise I feel like you need to use some combo. Like this one pretty much needs magnets to be functional. This one needs the overheat to do real damage instead of like baby pea shooter damage. And the overheat needs the nails to be accurate. Otherwise they're just flying all over the place. So this is the only one where I can see you just unequipping all the others and actually still being effective with it. So that's my take on that. And then we've got the actually useful Railcannons. I'm just gonna go like that, I think. You think Malicious goes in S? I don't know. The electric Railcannon is so useful in so many situations. I mean, we're talking like, even if you just shoot it into an enemy with no coins, no nothing, no piercing, just into a boss or something, it just does so much damage. The malicious cannon, it's a little more situational, I think. I think I could go like top of A with it, maybe just below piercer. I don't think it's as useful as the blue. Like the way I think about it is I keep this one in my first slot for a reason. And yeah, rail coining is fucking amazing. I mean, rail coining is one of the best just like pure damage dealers in the game. Yeah, nukes are amazing. I don't know if you guys watch my videos, you probably saw how much I was nuking in the new update. I fucking love nukes. There's a reason that both of these from the last tier list have moved up from B to A. They're ridiculous, especially together. This is almost useless in a boss fight, except for Flesh Prison. It's good in arenas, but there's a lot of ways to deal area of effect damage. And while nuking is fun, and it is fast, it is a fast way to clear an arena, I don't see it being S tier. I don't think it's that useful. Which brings us to the rocket launcher. Some people were telling me the rocket launcher is bad. And I was like, it's definitely not bad. Chat seems to think that the rocket launcher is really good. S, skill issue. To be honest, it's so hard to assess a weapon when you've had it for like a day. So people were in my comments after like a day saying the rocket launcher sucks. It's hard to combo with other weapons. I agree, but I think that the payoff is really strong. I think that it's hard to combo with other weapons, but it's self-sufficient for a few things. It's good for movement. The rocket riding is awesome. And if you master like just getting on it immediately instead of having to jump on it, it can be extremely useful for just getting around. You can nuke with the rocket, but it does less damage. Yeah, it's more like a core snipe. But what is really good is when you knock enemies up into the air and then you shoot them, which is admittedly a little hard to do. The explosion is massive and it's a red explosion. It's basically like a free core snipe, but slightly easier to pull off, more easy to control, and if you're already shooting into a group of enemies anyways to bounce them up, it's probably easier because you don't have to switch to another weapon. My gut is saying like high B, low A. The other thing too though, now that I'm thinking about it, is that so many things are just outright immune to it. Malicious Face doesn't even like, it doesn't do anything to them. Like, at least when you projectile boost a Malicious Face, you get the damage of like the shotgun pellets hitting it. But with this, they just bounce off. I would say it's like right in line with Core Eject. It kind of has a different niche, but Malicious Face is immune to everything though. Not nails, which you all said suck. I said nails on A. Yes, but in my mind, chat is just like one hive mind, you know? You don't have individual opinions. You can use Malicious Face's beam for a nuke with the rocket launcher. Yeah, but isn't it a lot easier to just snipe it? Okay. Okay, chat. I think this is our tier list. Okay, let's go on to the next one, which is gonna be all bosses. So before I did all enemies, and every comment on the video was like, why didn't you do Cancerous Rodent? Why didn't you do Mysterious Druid Knight and Owl? Okay, Maurice. As much as everyone loves Maurice, why the fuck is he a boss? All right, fine. I'll put him in a tier of his own. Maurice. I don't really know why this is a boss, to be honest. I wonder, it almost feels like this boss exists just to introduce you to the concept of bosses if you like have never played a video game before. But it is weird because I don't even think it's like meaningfully different from the regular enemy version. It might have a little more health, but it hardly feels like it. It hardly feels different. It's a good first boss fight, I think. I'm gonna go a different direction here and say I think that Swordsmachine is an amazing like first proper boss. Swordsmachine, easy A tier for me. It allows you to use parrying. It allows you to use iframes to dodge its attacks, and it has 2 distinct phases with different moves. So I think Swordsmachine is a great first boss. I think it's very cool the way you fight it in kind of like 2 distinct phases when you play it the first time. But it's also very fun to fight it like all at once and actually like, I wouldn't say like a challenge, but going back, it's still very fun for me to fight Swordsmachine. Cerberus. I'm kind of a Cerberus gank defender. I kind of enjoy playing 0-5. I'm kind of like high B maybe on this. I actually admire games that can do like multiple enemy boss fights well, and I think this one does it. It uses like the Dark Souls Bell Gargoyle gimmick where the second one gets up midway through the fight. And I also like that when you kill one of them, the other one goes sicko mode. I think this arena is awkward. Intentionally, but it's a little bit awkward. And I don't know, like these enemies come back like so quick right after this boss fight that it doesn't really feel all that special. I enjoy it. It's actually one of my favorite levels to replay for no reason other than that I can just absolutely delete them. Cancerous Rodent. I mean, it's an obvious S tier. I don't know. Cancerous Rodent, it's kind of just a meme boss. Mechanically, it's not interesting at all, but it is funny. C for Cancerous. I think I can't put it in D tier. Just because it's funny and like you have like the bait of the tiny rodent which dies like immediately and you're like, oh, that was it, and then you turn around and there's a bigger one, which I think is funny. I like that setup. The boss isn't awful, but it's, you know, it's clearly just a meme boss. I do like that you can bounce on its head and that even deals extra damage to it. So I like that. I don't know. I'm being a little forgiving to the Cancerous Rodent here because it's a meme boss, but I do kind of like it. It's fun. And it's a Civi reference. Every retro FPS has to have one. Agony Tundra is next. Swordsmachine is so great. Fighting 2 Swordsmachine must obviously be S tier, right? It must be the best fight in the game. I don't know. I mean, these guys don't have a lot of health, but you do have to kill them at the same time, which is kind of the gimmick. But they're probably worse as like a gank fight than Cerberus. They're just chaos. I mean, it's just total chaos. I think what makes this one not awful, despite it being kind of a small arena and 2 fucking swords machines, is that they don't really punish in midair. So if you need to get out of the fray, you can just jump. Like, you can just go up, and then they can't hit you. Like, they can hardly do anything. But I don't know, like, you've already fought a swords machine at that point. The only real, like, wrinkle is that they resurrect each other, and otherwise, I don't know, it's a little boring otherwise. But it's like a secret Easter egg fight, so it's fine. Hideous Mass, genuine D tier. I do not like it. I fight it with soap if I can. If we're talking strictly about the Hideous Mass like boss encounter, it's terrible. It's the only boss fight in the game that I think is bad. I'm sorry, but I just don't like it at all. It's just chaos. The arena is barely bigger than Hideous Mass himself. No, just no. I'm using soap every time to get through that fight. It's not even that hard. It's just annoying. Yeah, so, and I will clarify that a D in Ultrakill is like better than most bosses in most FPS games. Hideous Mass like would honestly be like a good boss in some other games. I just think the standard of quality is so high in Ultrakill. This one sticks out like a sore thumb. Hideous Mass is better than Icon of Sid. You know I agree with that, but that's fighting words for some people. V1 V1. You should add a P tier, like a bet. Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea, because then I could put this in S tier. I think V1, like, for where it's at in the game and what it's like supposed to teach you is like objectively an S tier boss. But because like literally just like a better version of it exists in the game, I just feel like this one ends up being kind of forgettable. And especially on like this did I keep calling it V1? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. V2. Oh my God. Yeah, because this one exists and is so much better and more challenging. Like this one still challenges me to this day. This one, not really. It's pretty random, so it can still kill me sometimes, but I thought you were doing it as a joke. No, I'm just an idiot. Yeah, I do think V2 is amazing at what it does. I think it's objectively an S tier boss, but I just think this one is better. Corpse of King Minos, is that next? It just feels weird. Yeah, I guess there's no bosses between V2 and Corpse of King Minos. Corpse of Minos, I'm gonna go A tier, I think. I think this fight is still one of the best in the game in terms of like build up and presentation, but it is fun to parry. I agree with that. But fighting it without parrying, it's not super fun. It's not, I wouldn't say it's super fun. I like, in theory, the black hole kind of makes you have to like dance around the arena and you can't just stand in one spot. It's got some surprises, like the snakes coming out of its eyes is wild. I love that. Mechanically though, parrying is fun. Otherwise, not amazing. Yeah, it's a good example of a massive boss versus a small character fight. I think those will always be worse than like your Gabriels and V2s, and even like Swordsmachine. This is like Icon of Sin, but not god awful. And then we come to Gabriel. I'm gonna put Gabriel 1 at the top of S tier. I guess so. I've already ranked this V2, but I haven't talked about it yet. Is Gabriel better than V2 too? I think yes, just because he has readable combos and like he doesn't feel so random. Like his movement is predictable, his combos are more predictable. He is punishing but fair. Not that V2 isn't fair, but V2, sometimes you just die and you're like, what the fuck just happened to me? I've probably beaten Gabe at least 1,000 times by now. I mean, yeah, that's like, the reason you can do that so effectively is because of just how well structured this boss fight is. Like you can really learn his moves, really learn what he's going to do, really learn what's going to work best against him. And I just think that's super cool. I think V2 is awesome because you have to respond on the fly. You know, sometimes you just have to be adaptable. Sometimes you just have to throw shit at the wall and figure out how the hell you're gonna get out of a situation. So I like that V2 really tests your adaptability, but Gabriel I think has like a more fun structure for just the way the game works, I guess. Like V2 is a good like teaching boss, and Gabriel is a good like skill test. All you need to learn for both Gabes is coin adding. Okay, well, I mean, sure, but when people are complaining that Gabriel is too easy, it's like, my brother in Christ, you spent 1,000 hours bullying him with coin adding and insta-killing him. It's like, of course he's fucking easy. You made him easy. I'll maybe save that rant for Gabe too. Flesh Prison. I think it's better than Hideous Mass. It is kind of funny to see Flesh Prison and Cancerous Rodent in the same tier, but I think it's like, I don't know, bottom of C tier. So I personally did not struggle a ton with Flesh Prison on my first time through. However, Flesh Prison was the bane of my existence on P ranks. I had to just like basically study. I had to go online to like look up the best strategy for it. I feel like this game is at its best when the boss tests the limits of your abilities, but you don't have to go look up a strategy guide for it, you know? I think the goal of Flesh Prison is to get you to give up before you reach Minos. And I think that sucks. I think that's like just annoying design. I get it. Like, I think the only reason it's not in D is because I can kind of respect it. It makes sense that like one of the most powerful souls would be imprisoned in something as powerful as the Flesh Prison. Like, I like it from a lore perspective. Yeah, at least Minos has clear, that's a better way to put it. At least Minos has clear patterns. Flesh Prison is just chaos. Like, the nice thing is that there's a pretty reliable strategy to just one cycle it and melt it, which is what I use every time I play the level now. But I just think it's kind of unfun that you have to like look up how to do that. You would never figure that out on your own, I don't think. Chaos for Flesh Prison, order for Minos. You're goddamn right. Yeah, you know what? It makes sense. If future Prime Sanctums are going to be like this, where they have like a gatekeeper boss and then a real boss, I hope that Hakita expands on and learns from what he did with Flesh Prison. Minos, obvious D tier. Just kidding. What can you say? I mean, for everything that I said about Gabriel, like how he has fair but challenging combos to learn and read, he moves around a lot, he gap closes like a motherfucker, everything you can say about Gabe can be said about Minos, but just like times 10. Like he's Gabe on crack cocaine. And he doesn't even have swords. He just uses his fucking fists. But it's one of my favorite bosses of all time. I don't think I've fought any boss in any game for as long as I have spent fighting Minos Prime. I mean, it's just that good. It deserved every second I spent on it. Minos is a fighting game character in an FPS, and I love it. Yes, that's so true. The Insurrectionist. I would give this boss like a B mechanically, but I kind of want to give it an A for the spectacle, because I think it's very cool that the boss can just chase you around the map. Just going somewhere else in the map and having him like chase you around is like such a thrilling experience. It's so cool. It's cool that you can bait him into the pit. You know, there's a lot of cool interactions with this boss, even though his moveset's kind of limited and a little bit awkward, I would say. I have trouble fighting him still, like just straight up. I find his attacks challenging to dodge and parry because his stretchy wrists like just fuck me up, the timing with them. Yeah, he's got some weird moves, kind of limited moveset, but cool boss overall. Then there's the mysterious Druid, Knight, and Owl. I think I'm gonna put this boss in like bottom of B for no reason other than just finding this boss is just like the coolest thing ever. I had to have someone explain it to me. I didn't even know it was there. It's easy, but it has actually like some kind of unique mechanics. Bro, I got a pepperoni stuffed crust ad from Papa John's. Why that shit sound kind of fire? Look, listen to me right now. It's a fucking trap. I know that those Papa John's ads look good, but trust me, the pizza sucks. Do not be fooled by their advertising. Anyways, yeah, it's like, it's kind of a stupid meme boss. I think it's hilarious how they have like 4 health bars or whatever the hell. Everything about this boss is like hilarious and funny, but it's unironically like kind of a decent boss. Like there was some effort put into it. For being a meme boss that most people will probably not find without looking up. Yeah, I don't know. It's good. The Ferryman. I do like the Ferryman a lot. I'm gonna go A, and I'm gonna disclaim this by saying that I think it's right about in leagues with Swordsmachine. But this boss is so fun. It has a very unique, fun moveset to play around with. Fun to parry. Actually surprisingly difficult to parry. The way it like hangs back and then like kind of charges up an attack and then like shoots towards you, it fucks me up. I couldn't get it. I actually couldn't get it on my first playthrough. Now parried it quite a bit, and I think I get it a little better now. But
you forgot plus points for befriending him with coin.
That is true. That's a cool interaction. I agree with that. Yeah, it's just a cool boss. I think if I had like minor nitpicks with it, the attacks that are non-parryable, they feel random. They feel sort of like randomly selected. That's my only complaint, is sometimes I feel like the attack that he's doing looks like one of the ones that you can parry, and then all of a sudden it's like a blue spark and I have to dodge. And then once you go up on the roof, like I do like the arena change. I think that's a cool touch to this boss fight, but I wish he like added a new move or two or something just to kind of differentiate the phases. I think those are my only complaints with Ferryman. I think much like Swordsmachine, it's a very fun boss. Leviathan. Okay, I realize opinions here are a little split on Leviathan. At least I've seen online some people say they don't like it. I would give it probably a solid B, I think. I think as a spectacle, it's a little bit worse than Corpse of King Minos. It has a cool build-up. I think B is fair. Some of the mechanics are fun, like the phase 2 where you're dodging both the head attacks and the tail is pretty fun. I can agree with whoever said he should have a few more attacks. It's like a slightly worse Corpse of King Minos. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it's very similar to Corpse of King Minos. I would even say it's probably easier. Bite needs to be parryable. I think the bite being parryable would maybe make phase 2 a little too easy, but I guess if you gave it like more health, then maybe it would be good. What I do like is how open the arena is. It kind of seems really small at first because you like stay on the platform. When you realize you could like rocket ride around and like jump on its head and stuff, that's kind of fun. But then once you realize like the weak point gimmick, he falls over pretty quick. So I enjoyed the spectacle. I think the kind of jump rope gameplay is kind of fun. The real merit of this boss is just kind of fucking around with it, like rocket riding and stuff like that. Which brings us to the dual Insurrectionist. I'm not gonna lie, this fight is terrible. I don't know. It's like, I get it. It's a joke, right? I mean, but at least like Agony and Tundra like kind of make sense together. Evil. It's just evil.
Since Gabriel is now based, he is alongside Minos at P.
Yeah. So I guess that leaves only one, and I agree. I think Gabe 2 is head and shoulders above Gabe 1, which I already have ranked at top of S. I think he stands tall alongside Minos as a really fucking cool, dope boss. Easier than Minos. I won't deny it. It's why I'll rank him lower than Minos. He is easier, but I don't know. The people who said he was easy, my opinion is, and maybe some people had easy experiences with him, but my opinion is that the people who found him easy probably have just gotten a lot better at the game and didn't even realize, because I think the boss is objectively hard. He's fast as fuck. I don't think there is an enemy in the game that attacks as fast as him currently. Those sword combos are nasty. You pretty much have to slide out of them. You can't reliably like iframe each and every one of them. I agree that the phase transition where he flies up into the air and you can just keep shooting him and dealing damage to him for, it feels like an absurdly long amount of time. When I fight him now, I've kind of started just not doing that because his phase 2 is insane. Some people told me they didn't even see the phase 2. He does all the same attacks from phase 1, but he adds the like dive bomb attack from the first fight, and he does he will charge like the sword spin, and then he'll teleport behind you and throw it. It's evil. It's evil is what it is, but it's so cool. And I love the design of the arena. I love the way they tweak the design of the character with the swords and stuff. The buildup is just incredible. Him speaking to you in 6-1 is really what just hammers it home that this is like one of the best in the game. But yeah, I don't know. I found Gabe 2 to be really fun. I killed him in 11 tries. So I agree that he didn't really challenge me, but I'm also like I get it, you know? But yeah, I really liked him. I found him about the right degree of challenging for like my skill in the game and also like where he's at in the game. The thing that people don't realize is that when the game releases in full, people are not gonna stop Act 1, go back and do P ranks, and then continue on into Act 2. What they're gonna do is they're gonna just keep playing until they beat the game. So the time between fighting this version of Gabe and this version is not going to be that long for most people. So I genuinely like, you should improve at the game in those 2 hours, but not as much as people improved in the year and a half between this Gabriel and this, more even like 2 years, right? I don't know, that's my feeling on Gabe 2. I think like presentation wise, it's arguably the best in the game. Mechanically, I would say only slightly inferior to Minos. So there we go. Here's the tier list.
Hit that like button.
Alright.
Smash that bell, hit that bell button, hit
destroy my pussy.
Subscribe to Dumper Man.